All right, we've returned. Hello, everybody.
We're back. We're gonna do some of the we're gonna do the ones that you guys made. Talk about them. See how your own challenges went. I see we got 3 of them in.
And for perspective, for those just jumping in now, these are the results. The subclass we're about to look at are the results of a 1-hour design challenge. Experiment 2 is what we're calling it here on Fantasy Labs, where players were given, people were given a prompt and had to create a subclass inspired by that prompt in under an hour, which is pretty wild. We're not going to use our rubric, so ignore the rubric for now. Pete, what's the first one we're looking at? The Way of the Dancing Dragon?
Way of the Dancing Dragon. This one was made by Vbunny. And is like a little bit of an interpretation here on the Zephyr Dancer, and maybe a combination of the Dragon Pact Warlock and the Zephyr Dancer Monk. Yeah, let's take a look. It looks like Vbunny has a nice little write up here at the start, so that's pretty good. Do you want to take it?
Let me start off. Yeah, you know how to move like a dancing dragon. You're skilled in both the martial arts and the performance arts. Perhaps you're a mime, a performative dancer, a straight performer, or even a ribbon dancer. You combine the graceful movements of your performances with the precise strikes of a well-trained warrior. You know how to show your performance or speed it up when necessary to strike at the right moment. All right, not too bad.
Yeah. Let me take Dragon Technique here, because I assume this is kind of our key feature. When you choose this tradition at 3rd level, you can strike like a dragon. Whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your flurry of blows, you can impose one of the following effects on the target. And this is kind of following stylistically the open hand. It must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be blinded or deafened. It must make a wisdom saving throw. If it fails, it cannot make more than one on its turn while you are within 5 feet of it. Oh, wait. More than one attack on its turn. Okay. More than one attack on its turn while you are within 5 feet of it. And then the last one is melee attacks from that creature have disadvantage to hit you or another creature within 5 feet of you. I think these are probably a little potent for a flurry of blows thing.
But they're very powerful.
I mean, I like the individual effects of these features. They might need, like, I don't even necessarily think that these are things that you couldn't do with a 3rd level feature. I think you just need to put maybe like a discrete key cost on them in some way beyond just the flurry of blows to create these effects. I mean, I like the ideas of these effects. And then you also get the bonus proficiency. When you choose the tradition at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in the performance skill if you don't already have it. You also have proficiency in one martial weapon or instrument of your choice, and it counts as a monk weapon for you.
The instrument of the monk weapon, I love it. Actually, I really love that.
I really like the instrument thing. I don't know if the martial weapon, the ability, is Monk getting a greatsword?
Great sword. Well, no, because it's still just a monk weapon. Well,
you just get regular proficiency in it too. But then you can't. But you're not making an attack because you don't have to use the damage of it as a monk weapon. I don't think, but you could still gain the benefits of the punch.
I suspect your intention here was the whip, Vbunny. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Yeah, I think it might just be better to just say you gain proficiency in the thing you were thinking of, right?
Yeah, whips.
Rather than leave it so open, because like the maul just is so weird.
I actually didn't get that, so that makes a lot of sense to me now that you phrase it like that, Jeremy. That's based on the whip.
It's like the ribbon, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, naturally, I just didn't it didn't connect for me, but now it completely does. Yeah, I don't know. I really like that actually. The instrument or the martial weapon. I think that's really cool. Want to do interpretive dance?
Yeah, at 6th level, you gain the ability to precisely duck out of the eyes of an attacker during the heat of combat. You can use a bonus action to gain the benefits of the hide action. It's a little weird.
For starters, it doesn't necessarily connect with interpretive dance for me for that. I feel like if it had a different name that more felt like, honestly,
just a lot for a 6th level feature. You can just bonus action hide all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of a cunning action. You get like that part of the rogue cunning action. which is things that are good on rogues are good on monks and vice versa.
Interesting idea.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's just like I have a hard time evaluating this because I'm evaluating it through the lens of I don't really like the way stealth is in 5e. And so things that directly interact with stealth like this and like encourage you to use the hide action, I kind of don't like going in that direction.
Well, it's also really good. But then again, it's a bonus action, and as a monk, you're already using your bonus action
your bonus action is pretty heavily taxed. That's a good point. Might be okay. I don't know. It's an interesting feature. I'd have to think about that one a little bit more, I think, to properly evaluate it.
Nightly performance is a feature you get at 11th level. You can perform a display of your skills while taking a short rest or long rest. Any ally who sees the monk performing gains an extra 1d6 hit points if there's any hit points at the end of that rest, and the monk cannot confer this benefit on itself as well. Okay, so I think the idea is you perform for people and it heals, kind of like a Song of Rest vibe from the Bard. Okay, I dig it.
Yeah.
I wonder how. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to do the last feature, so go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder what the other monks typically get at 11th level. They usually see like pretty niche features. Which the Shadow Monk can teleport all the time.
Yeah, I would say that this is actually probably weaker than a lot of things that monks usually get, but they did get a pretty powerful one at 6th. Really, it's the first feature on this one that's
so strong. Yeah,
very, very strong.
I might want to put a little more oomph on that nightly performance
and take some off of the dragon technique. Maybe putting it there might be a way to go. But
actually, really cool if you could bestow some of your like benefits to allies through the performance. That could be neat. Take Dragon's Rush.
Yeah, Dragon's Rush. The classic Goku. I think that's the name of one of Goku's like final moves that he learns in Dragon Ball Z.
I would never have known.
At 17th level, you gain the ability to channel the dancing dragon within. When you hit at the start of your turn, I think is what it's meant to say, you can spend 2 key points to gain the following benefits, which last until the end of your turn. Okay, that's definitely what it is. If you move at least 20 feet before you hit an opponent with an unarmed strike, you can double the amount of damage you deal on the first strike you hit with. If you take the dash action, you can gain the benefits of flurry of blows without having to take the attack action. When you hit with an unarmed strike, you can grapple or knock the target prone. This is actually...
I really love a couple of these features.
Yeah, I think this is actually really close, and I actually feel like this feels like what would be better as a level 1 feature almost, and then the level 1 feature is more being the kind of things that I would expect you to be able to do at 17th level.
I think you're specifically talking about, Pete, right? The dash action. I love that idea of when you dash, you get to use Flurry of Blows. I think if it's when you take the dash action on your turn, you can use Flurry of Blows without expending any key, right? That would be a really cool feature at this early level.
For sure. And that feels like a dancing dragon. You move around a lot and you strike. I think that's a really cool concept.
I'll be honest with you, Bunny. When I had put the idea of the Zephyr Dancer, I had thought using the Step of the Wind feature is the one that I wanted to tie features like that to. So I really like that you went in a very similar direction, right? Same mind space there conceptually. I dig it.
I'm working on a monk right now, Vbunny, that uses dragons as a theme in it at another point, and we did nothing the same, which I think speaks a lot.
It's all interpretation.
Just both design. I really like a lot of the design that you did. It's a very different take than what I would think of for a dragon that still feels like a dragon to me.
Pete, I just spent half an hour throwing out ideas for my dragon patron warlock. Dragons are wild.
Dragons are just such a broad concept. There's just so many ways to think about dragons. Anyway, I really like this.
Vbunny, I think you did a great job of putting this together in an hour. I really love that you shared it, and thank you so much for participating with us. Takes a lot of what do you want? What's the word I want?
Honestly, the word I would use for this is focus. You got to really just bear down and be all right, I'm just going to get it done to do the 1 hour subclass.
and then to share it as well, right? It takes a lot of cojones to put your stuff out there in the wild and share it with people and say, hey, this is the thing that I made. Especially, obviously, it's a rough cut. You made it in an hour. But I think you should be real proud of this. And thank you so much for doing it with us.
Thanks, Vbunny.
So who's the next?
Flip. Flip's got the next one here, and they did the Dungeoneer Ranger idea and the flavor text. They kind of changed it to an archaeologist archaeologist ranger is what it looks like that we've kind of ended up with here, and I'm very excited to see. I
love that conceptually.
You belong in a museum.
Well, it's interesting because we saw last week, right, when we were reviewing the Reddit stuff, a kind of tomb ranger that was just so not what I thought of when I thought of Tomb Ranger, but like this is just from the name archaeologist. I know archaeologist is what I had in mind.
Is a great name for a subclass.
Pete, take it away.
We got some flavor text. Rich flavor text here. A historian and searcher of treasure. As a dungeoneer and archaeologist, you hunt down rare treasures and artifacts that gets set up in museums for everyone to see. I love the reference. I love the nod. The preservation. Oh, Jeremy, that's a nod to the movie Indiana Jones.
I know.
A movie that you haven't seen.
I know, a movie I've not seen.
I want to make sure that you knew that was a reference to that. The preservation of the past is important, and so is finding money to keep up for the hunting of ancient artifacts. You craft your own supplies instead of buying them to save the money you need for travel and storage. Here we have, upon selecting this class, you automatically gain proficiency in sleight of hand and history. You also gain proficiency with whips, and you have a storage unit for all artifacts treasure that you find. I like again, as far as nods go, I love the whip proficiency. It just feels right. Even if it is blatant, I think that Indiana Jones is well enough ingrained in everyone's collective culture that proficiency of whips on an archaeologist is actually justified.
Yeah, the storage unit for treasure and artifacts is a little funky, but I think that could actually be really cool. You have a special item, which is like a waterproof little scroll case that you can stack stuff in. That could actually be very neat.
It just need to be fleshed out a little bit more. Since it can't be as vague as you have a storage unit and you have to explain what makes it that you have a container, describe the dimensions of it, what it holds and what function it has in holding them. Here's our key feature here, our first level feature, which is, oh, hey, look what I have. At third, do you want to take this one? Sorry, I did the first one. Jeremy.
Yeah, I wanted to say something right, though, before I even read the feature. The name, oh, hey, look what I have, that's how features were named in 4th edition. In 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons, that's what abilities were called. They would be get over here. Was the feature that fighters could get in 4th edition. So even though that's not really how we name stuff in 5e, I love that. I appreciate how much that gets across, right? I know exactly what you're going for just from the name. But anyway, at 3rd level, you gain the ability to craft improvised arrows and bombs as long as you have a dagger and some rope and some sort of bottle or container. You gain proficiency with alchemist supplies and woodcarver's tools, and you can improvise tools with crude items. I love that right off the bat.
Very cool.
I like that you can even improvise your tools. That's great. You don't have to carry on the stupid kit. Whatever I find is what I got. Arrows.
That works really well. I think that actually functions. That language functions as...
Yeah. Absolutely. It's awesome.
As a way to describe that. Yeah, cool.
Arrows. You can make basic wood arrows or wood shafts and add some of the arrowhead onto the shaft. The basic arrows do basic damage, okay? But depending on the arrowhead added, the damage varies. Some of the arrowheads that can be added to the basic level in the following table. So I put on arrowheads and different materials, excluding mechanical and metal arrowheads that can be found or bought. Mechanical arrowheads are rare and hard to get. They may be expensive, but bought in bundles. Shade dealers sometimes sell faulty arrowheads. Mechanical arrows can be made twice a day if you have the supplies to do so, and you can only make arrows that you have supplies for about 20. As you need feathers and wood as shafts for arrows, use broken arrows to make new ones. Vines can be used as rope. And then your materials, bone and metal, It gets stuck in the target. If moving more than half speed, it takes extra damage, and it takes extra damage to remove the hero. If made of wood, such as oak or bamboo, it's reusable and can be set on fire to deal extra fire damage on hit. Glass obsidian shattering does extra damage if they move their full speed, and it takes an action to remove the arrow. I see. Fancy, mostly for decoration, can be a variety of colors and reusable if the arrow wasn't. I love that. Rough cut edges, they just do the extra 4 damage, and stone or flint, no change in damage.
I like the wood can be set on fire to do 2d4 fire damage. I think is very cool.
And then mechanical, the arrowhead collapse upon impact, blades spring out and lodge the arrow into the target. Then 2d4 extra on impact, and 1d4 upon moving. Removal causes 2d4. All right, very, very complex.
Yes. So one thing that I'll say about this arrow system is I think it's very cool, and I could see people like really liking using this. I don't know if you can have something this complex on a this seems more like a DM rule set that you'd want to use to describe like if your player's interested in making arrows. If you want to, because I see you also have a couple of systems here for bombs and for first aids and stuff. Maybe like
it might be cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
I was saying what might be a cool way if you want to make this part of the core class, because I really like it as part of the class, as part of the resourcefulness aspect.
It's too much, but I could see like if there was like a very simple, like
I want to say, over the course of a short rest, you can do X, Y, and you can make these things, and and this stipulation is the arrows deteriorate over time, and are no longer usable by the time you've completed your next long rest. So that way, they only last for a certain amount of time. When you complete a long rest, you get a bunch of arrows, and then you can choose, maybe some different effects from them. I like these a lot, actually. I just think you need to maybe simplify this section here into like a sentence or two instead of 2 big paragraphs.
To reference back, like the monkey I just did, I think a good format for you would be like you can make like X of the following arrows when you complete a long rest, and you can make a combination of these types and then have like a bullet thing, kind of like I did with the antics feature, or that Jeremy had on his first feature, where you just have like a bulleted list of like these are the things that you can make, and they're kind of crisp. I would say rather than going the full chart, and like 3 or 4 would probably be the ideal number to go for, I think, for something like this.
But yeah, there's some pretty cool concepts here. And then you did stuff for bombs too, which is similar kind of deal. You gave them their area of effect. Stuff like confer with your DM about what they will allow and make a list, get creative and fun. It's very cool. Like, I get you, and I think that's important for every player who wants to be a little bit outside the box in Dungeons & Dragons to do, is talk with your Dungeon Master. We typically want a little bit more set in stone features.
Harder mechanics on subclasses specifically. Again, like, and this would function perfectly as like just if you're DMing and your character wants, like, I could see anyone using this on a player, because I think Rangers often want to have cool arrows, and that's like something that doesn't happen that often. And so like having this like rule set to be like, you can play with cool arrows if you have the time and make it, like, I could see them doing that. Same thing with the bombs. And I like the first aid feature you have here. You can make two first aid kits that can be used to restore 1d6 health per day. So you get 2 1d6 healing potions a day, basically. I think the direction that you went with that was actually a really good direction, which is you just get 2 of these healing kits that you can make per day if you choose to do so. And I think you can move some of the other ones in that direction as well, because I think that first aid feature works pretty well.
Yeah. The next kind of concept you went for is shiny. Upon reaching 7th level, you can recycle all types of arrows, but you also find treasure easier. Perception becomes 18 unless it was already higher, and treasure, magic items, and artifacts draw your eye fast and are instantly able to tell the history of those items if they're famous or infamous, if noticed to be magic or old. I actually really like that last part. It's almost like a legend lore-like feature, but And I think that might be something to maybe if that would be what you would look at, the language and the legend lore spell specifically for that.
And I don't know if you want to bind it directly to the history skill. I do kind of like that you can just sort of tell. This has a little bit of a potential to like maybe be a little bit too catch-all in the sense that a GM might not want you to know the history because like, oh, this is a hidden history. You wouldn't know this. And this feature doesn't give the DM enough liberty to say that as it stands, probably. So you might want to change in that direction. But I agree with Jeremy. I think the phrasing on this, and I definitely like the idea of you just being able to know the history and getting that extra information for being an archaeologist. It makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Pete, you want to take the next feature?
Very quickly, I see Frosty Pirate said, I went 5 minutes over, but it's in there now.
I've got it.
Disqualified. You're out. We can't look at it. Say hello to my little friend. Upon reaching level 11, you can use different types of blades using the various materials of arrows and make stronger bombs. The type of Aeroblades are blunt damaged, target piercing, doesn't get stuck, or serrated slashing. Bombs get an extra dice of damage to their initial explosion, and the range max is increased to a radius of 10 feet. So it increases your blow up of your bombs. I see that you're now like reincorporating those back into it, which is a good strategy. I like the idea of, your later features. Since the first level feature was very complicated, I think it was really smart to, at the 11th level, to go a simple, like, this is just a mod for the first feature, which is
absolutely
a good design philosophy to use anywhere.
Well, and additionally, you did a really interesting thing, which is something I actually tried to do with my dragon, is you did one, then the other, then one, then the other. You kind of bounced back and forth. You started with, all right, it's all about crafting arrows and bombs, and then here's a different feature about treasure and items and knowledge, and then here's another thing about your arrows and bombs. And I imagine this next feature might also have to do with treasure and items. So I think that like back and forth really works well as just a design philosophy when you're making stuff, when you're creating content. So I'll start this one off if you don't mind me, Pete.
Can I just say the first 8 words of this are one of my favorite things I've ever seen written on any subclass.
Upon 50th level, you get your own museum.
You get your own museum. I love that.
You've collected many artifacts and treasures. You gain a steady income from this museum, and you can collect the money once a week, which is about 20 to 45 gold pieces. If you wait, the money stacks up over time. 1d6 determines how much, intervals of 5, 1 being 20, 6 being 45. Interesting. And the rest of the money goes towards care and security for the museum. That's a really interesting concept. You also have a house above the museum that's a library for research, and it's a safe place for your party to rest with no risk of being attacked by anyone outside your party. It also has supplies for crafting, healing to replenish items and food. Basically, a very good base for your group if they're in an area with your museum. Being your home/base, this allows you to make a lot more arrows than before, and share them with your party members who can use ranged weapons and make crossbow bolts. Alert the DM to where your museum should be located. You'll have scholars study various items if they sign a contract of your own making to make the discoveries that could impact history greatly. It's a very creative feature. Frosty, you're absolutely correct with that. This is so strange. I just don't even know how to feel. We brewed homes.
You brewed a home. This isn't a feature that you would ever see in 5th edition design. This to me almost feels, Jeremy, I don't know a lot about 1st edition, but doesn't this feel like the kind of thing that you'd get in like old school D&D? Like it would be baked into your class that you would get
This feels like old school homebrew. This is, hey, Dungeon Master, I'm going to play, obviously they probably don't know the word Dungeon Master. It's like, hey, I'm running Dungeons and Dragons. All right, can I play? All right, hey, Pete, guy who's running Dungeons and Dragons for me, I want to be an archaeologist. I want to start a museum. And you're like, all right, sick. Here's stuff that I think would be cool in a museum. And then...
well, I can almost just like, how like the druid had an extra level. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, I could picture just like you get
a level.
You get a museum as being an early D&D feature. Like,
Maybe.
because there's just so many.
I have
so many
no
things kinda like that.
knowledge.
It's
funky. I like it a lot, but it's funky.
Yes. I think you need, like, okay, let me throw this idea out at you, because I think the idea of getting a museum is such a cool concept.
What?
I think that you can wait. I got a good one, Jeremy.
No,
I got a
please,
good one.
take it.
You should look at the Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion spell. And I think that you could make a museum that plays into that spell, and like uses some of the effects of that to have like a mobile museum where you keep all of your artifacts and relics, and have it not just be like you have a cool museum in one spot, you have a cool museum with you ever, and it like functions like mechanically in 5e. I think you could really make that work, actually.
That would be rad as heck. And what I might recommend is, in addition to that, do what Pete just said, but also so that you can avoid stuff like it has supplies to replenish food and stuff, because that's going to be in the Magnificent Mansion.
Yeah, that's in the spell. You get a lot of that for free.
A lot of this is already in there. One thing that you could say, specifically for this like last part about like making contracts with scholars and whatnot, you could have a thing where you could look at some of the backgrounds that exist in 5e, specifically like I think Scholar is a background that has this, oh my goodness, Folk Hero is one where like people love you and respect you. And I think you can tie something really meaningful like that into the 15th level feature, where like you can gain some benefits from scholars in areas, right? Like, and maybe you could put some like mechanical oomph into that as a way of kind of emphasizing, yeah, you got this cool museum, and other people who are of the same, of a like mind, right, will like help you out, right? They'll provide you shelter, or they might lend you a magical artifact in exchange for one of comparable rarity. That would be rad as hell if there was a mechanic built into this class where you could trade your magical items to NPCs that exist in the setting for different magical items, because that's something that like every party's going to get a magic item that's kind of a dud, where it's like, this isn't really useful for anyone, and that might be a cool place to put this.
Anyway, this is really a really fun idea.
Thanks.
And there's so many directions that you could take this, and I think really make it work, not just like conceptually, because obviously it works conceptually, but also make it work really well mechanically too. I like the idea of the museum. And again, Flipnote, thank you so much for sharing and for taking the challenge with us. I had a lot of fun reading this. It's hard. It's like it's unquestionably difficult. But let's look at the.
Well, Pete, before we move on, I want to just quickly say a big old thank you to Stoneless B57. Stoneless B gave us another follow, adding to our. Oh my goodness, I broke everything. Adding to our Monster Mash list, we are 11 out of the 25 towards reaching our goal of new followers. At which time we're going to do a thing.
We're going to do a thing when we get there.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Our power grows always. Thank you.
And Pete, what's the thing we're going to do? We're going to create a predator.
Yeah, we're going to create a monster that's the predator of a monster. So maybe the monster that's a predator of mind flayers, like we have that spooky mind flayer. What hunts the mind flayer? I don't want to encounter whatever that is. I know that much.
Actually, it's a neothlid, but that's okay. Thank you, Footnote, again for doing this design challenge with us.
Yeah, thanks, Footnote.
Right, you ready to move on to our next one? I'm just going to put this on now because it's kind of a pain for me the way it is. We're going to talk about Frosty Pirates, Path of the Gentle Breeze, monastic tradition.
Way of the Zephyr Dance. Way of the Zephyr Dancer.
Well, Frosty went the Path of the Gentle Breeze. Or I guess the Way of the Gentle Breeze if it's a monk. But I don't know if it's a monk.
I'm excited to see where it ended up. Do you want to start, or would you like me to? He has a couple of design notes at the top here.
I don't see them.
Am I looking at the? Yeah, I see right here. It says I didn't use much of the monastic tradition way of the Zephyr Dancer, and he said I didn't use much of the proper 5e language in this, but that's okay. It's not a great
that's not.
no, that's not flavor text. That's just notes. This is the first time he's brewed a monk. I basically thought, oh, it's kind of like that one movie with Jet Li where he does so many spinning kicks and flips that he basically hits people with the force of air and turned it into a subclass. I think that works for the concept, and I'm excited to see the ideas.
Whose was this again?
This was after.
Okay, this was after. Sorry, I had Frosties open, but that's fine. We can do afters first.
My apologies.
All right.
Yeah, I was just going in the order on the workshop. So that's
I
what.
Really like that concept, and I like that you told us what you were trying to emulate, because that's popular culture right there, right? Like that's a popular culture monk kicking bolts of air, like boom. We start third level.
Yeah, third level.
You're an acrobatic dancer twirling in the air with the air. Bonus proficiencies. You gain proficiency in acrobatics if you aren't already proficient, and if you are, you gain proficiency with performance instead. Okay. And whips become monk weapons for you.
There we are.
Like it. And additionally, you gained at third level the dance of the breeze. Your martial arts techniques become swift with the wind. You gain the gust cantrip if you don't already know it. And when you use your flurry of blows, you can place one of the attacks with the casting of the gust cantrip. Ooh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I might steal that for something I'm working on right now.
Also, when a target misses you with an attack, you can use a reaction to move half your movement. During this movement, opportunity attacks against you are made with disadvantage. I like that a lot. This is very good.
I'm just reading it. I'm just comprehending it. Yes, it is very good.
It's like a leaf in the breeze. That kind of opportunity attack movement that works really well.
The old spinning leaf. I really like this design. Actually, you were saying you didn't use proper 5e design, but you did the bulleted lists and you didn't write it out in the full language. But this is all proper 5e design. This looks very good to me.
I think it's a little funky that you have this performance instead of acrobatics. That's the only comment, but I like it.
That was if you're... Wait.
If you already are proficient in acrobatics, yeah.
You think it should be performance and then acrobatics if you already have performance?
Oh, I was saying it's just weird that it's here, gain this proficiency, but if you already got it, have this different one instead. You know what I mean? It almost feels like it should be like, you gain acrobatics and performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's kind of weird that it's like, well, if you already got it, I guess you're something else.
I feel like that there was a convention for that recently, though, wasn't there? Didn't something come out?
There's a convention for you gain expertise if you already have proficiency.
No, but I thought there was something that came out recently that was like, if you already have this skill, then you get a different one. I might be crazy.
That would blow my mind. I had no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the weeds. We'll come back to that if I can think of what it actually is. But
this is just Pete and I babbling. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. 6th level Windwalker. Your dance-like movements allow you to smoothly glide over surfaces. You ignore non-magical, difficult terrain. You can jump for free a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. That seems to be... Oh, you can cast jump. Okay, I didn't see the cast. I thought just you could jump with the thing. Italics. That works. Instead of for free, again, you said you didn't use the proper language. The proper language in that would be...
at will.
Just, yeah, you can cast jump at will. Or you can just cast a jump spell a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. And then additionally, your slow fall feature can now reduce damage by an amount equal to 7 times your monk level.
That one's a little weird.
Yeah, I like the idea of improving your slow fall, but just multiplying by 7 is just an odd thing to do in D&D. I would keep it to maybe if it's normally 5. Is that what it is?
I think. Yeah.
Maybe just go 10. I don't think it would be unbalanced. Just go to 10. Because that's just an easy thing for people to mess with.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing stuff with slow fall, or what's the other one? Step of the Wind or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that improving because slow fall is already so effective Like, you might as well just say, you take no damage when, slow fall.
In place of your slow fall just is you take no damage. I mean, you could even do that. Like, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Because, I mean, there's classes that get fly speeds,
At 11th level, you've added Sweeping Gale. The flow of the winds bend to the movements of your strikes. The reach of your unarmed strikes / monk weapons increases by 5 feet. Okay, I dig it. Additionally, you can use your action to cast Gust of Wind. You can use this special action once, and you gain the use of this feature at the end of a short or long rest.
I really like the unarmed strikes and monk weapon increase. I think the Gust of Wind, I think you could go even harder on that. I don't know what feature would do what you want with Gust of Wind, but I feel like Gust of Wind is a little low impact for 11th level.
I might like the idea if you went all in on these monk strikes, right, and maybe like knocked a back 5 feet or something every time you hit.
Yeah,
might be interesting.
That could be an interesting
or you could increase the range, maybe even like 15 feet would be wild. But maybe that's the direction to go.
That's spicy.
It's spicy. I'm a spicy boy today.
The last
I you went with the reach though. I like that direction a lot.
I agree. I have the Hurricane. Your graceful dances have the power to influence the world's many winds. You can spend 5 key points to cast Control Winds as a bonus action centered on yourself.
Love it.
I agree. Again, this is another one that I think you could even go a little bit more crazy on. I can't remember like the details on Control Winds, but I think there's a really cool spell. Let me.
There's a spell.
Might be a.
Is there an Investiture of Wind?
Yeah, Investiture of Wind might be the way to go for this.
Is there really?
Yeah. Range weapons made against you have disadvantage on the attack roll. You gain a 60-foot flying speed.
Holy shit.
Then you use your action to create a 15-foot cube of swirling wind, and a creature that goes into it takes 2d10 bludgeoning damage. That might be too magic-y for what you're going for, although it kind of works for me, personally. It's just a little bit more powerful, and I think you could increase the power of this a little bit.
Yeah, another thing is Warding Wind is another powerful feature where you kind of create this swirling wind around yourself, and it like deflects range attacks and does all sorts of weird stuff. That might be something that's interesting too. But I really like that direction, actually. I like Control Winds a lot. It's a funky spell, but I dig it. 5 key points is pretty steep, though. But maybe that's reasonable for a 5th level spell. It might even be higher than 5th.
It's Control Winds, I think, is exactly a 5th level. I'm not certain on that, but I believe that is true. I'm just gonna look it up. Why not know?
Oh, it's just Control Winds because it's in the PHB, I think. That is technically valid. I can't argue with you for that. That is a sound design philosophy. Yep.
That's fair. I personally am of the opinion that if, use the cool resources that are officially published, but I also can't hold it against you if you want to stick pure to the PHB. So.
Well, I think even Wizards is starting to be broader with it now. So, but yes, thank you, After. I love the direction you went with this. This was a lot of kind of what I had in mind, actually, when I thought about this ribbon dancer. So I like the direction you went with it a lot.
I agree completely.
And thanks so much for sharing it. I love seeing how everyone takes the different experiments,
Thank you so much.
It's so cool to see how different people conceptualize the same ideas.
And we have one more. It's actually also in that category.
Path of the Gentle Breeze. We're back to you finally, Frosty.
Gentle Breeze. We're about to hop into this one, Frosty. Yeah, sorry about that before. Me and Jeremy just opened the wrong documents. Both of us did.
It was Pete's fault.
It was Jeremy's fault.
They could see on the screen I was right.
Mine was going in the order in which they were received. Fight to the death. Do you want to start off on this one, Jeremy?
Absolutely. Path of the Gentle Breeze. You are the gentle breeze which calms the hearts of men and beasts. To walk the path of the gentle breeze is to lead a life adverse to violence and conflict, and to encourage both allies and enemies to abstain from such acts. Oh man, bold move. That's going to be a tough one. I'm interested
we'll
to see how you took it.
I think it's a very cool. I think it's a very cool concept.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is probably the most monkey monk, like in terms of like your stereotypical like Western monks, right?
Yes.
You okay? Also at third level, you gain bonus proficiencies. When you choose this tradition at third level, you gain proficiency persuasion skill if you don't already have it. Your martial arts techniques mixes combat training with the precision of a dancer and the antics of a jester. You also gain proficiency with Brewers of Lies if you don't already have it.
I don't know if that's meant to be on there because I think that's the drunken master monk.
Big mistake in the first feature. Frosty says, I see. Proficiency in calligrapher supplies.
There we are. So sorry.
It's all good. We all do that.
Just this once, we'll let it go, Frosty. Calligrapher supplies. Okay, yeah.
Takes the next feature.
And then the art of pacifism. Can sometimes just get there. Starting when you choose this tradition at third level, you could use your key to duplicate the effects of certain spells. As an action, you can spend 2 key points to cast Aid, Calm Emotions, or Hold Person without providing material components. You can use Charisma as your spellcasting ability, and use Charisma whenever a spell refers to one. Additionally, you gain the Friends cantrip if you don't already know it. I think I get nervous when I see a pacifism-based class. I think that these spells are actually pretty cool for that. I think that this works pretty well. One thing that I don't know if I would do is do the charisma base for the spellcasting ability, just because Monk is already such a divided class. You have draws on your dexterity.
Dex, they need constitution.
Everyone wants
they need
wisdom. Because you're a fighter, yeah, you need wisdom. I think you should probably just stick it to the wisdom still. And that even works for me too, with like pacifism and like your calming presence and stuff like that. That works for me.
And I like how you went with the calm emotions. I know that can be a really disruptive spell at times. It makes me wonder, is there another spell that you could use that would work and accomplish a comparable kind of thing? I know the enthrall spell might be helpful. I don't know. Like, calm emotions is such a contentious spell that like it worries me to see it. But
you often have, Jeremy. I feel like issue with calm emotions. Calm emotions doesn't like really strike me quite so much as that. Like, I really like, for one thing, the boon aspect of it. I like the plus of ending charms and threatens on your allies. I think is great. You agree on that, right? It's the hostile creatures.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What is your issue with calm emotions?
The problem I see is some players try to use it in certain ways that, like, oh no, it's the bandits that are jumping us on the road. Calm emotions, the combat will be over. And it's like, it's a little weird. Like, they still want to rob you just because they're now relaxed trying to rob. You know, it's like, it makes things like awkward sometimes. You know what I mean?
A little bit. I don't know. Calm emotions has never. I haven't, I guess, personally run into that issue with calm emotions. So
well, it's always someone's always disappointed, right? It's either the dungeon master like rules it in such a way that it doesn't really accomplish what the player was going for, or they rule it exactly like that, and someone else in the party is like, "Well, man, I wanted combat in this game, and now it's gone." Like I've done the Dragons in third combat at least, and now I don't have it. I don't know. I've seen it used a bunch of times, and
I don't know, because the thing that throws me off about it, because it is a concentration spell, and it just ends when you lose concentration after a minute. So I don't know. It just like it doesn't seem quite that. Anyway, this is all we could talk about back and forth on calm emotions all day. I don't think it's necessarily a terrible choice. I can see why Jeremy is a little reticent about it.
Well,
Maybe Enthrall's the way to go.
It uses mechanical terms like indifferent or hostile, and like an indifferent creature won't attack you. It just won't attack you. It's indifferent to your presence. So like, if you're wandering through the woods and like a dragon flies down and I guess it's only humanoids.
Yeah,
whatever. So you get jumped by the 3 bandits and they fail their saving throws and the combat ends.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also just like it's a triple failed save. I think there's stuff that's like comparable to that in CC. Like one more level up, you get a hypnotic pattern, which would be the same thing effectively. But to anything.
There's a save ends on hypnotic pattern. It's a 3rd level spell.
I don't know, maybe. There's also like, don't they have advantage? Again, let's not talk.
Yeah, sorry, just my thoughts on the spell.
Yeah.
Passive Palm. At 6th level, you're able to dissuade enemy attacks by deflecting them with a gentle palm. As a reaction, you can spend 2 key points to impose disadvantage on an enemy attack. If the attack misses the creature, the creature cannot target you with an attack until the beginning of their next turn.
That's
okay.
Very interesting. As a reaction to put disadvantage on an attack, I assume that meant to be only things that are targeting you, not allies. And the reaction is made when a creature attacks you. You can use your reaction to knock the attack aside. I think is the intent.
I like that a lot, actually.
I do too. I also like the flavor of that like redirection,
Very
like you just push the fist aside. Yeah. Do you think 2 key points is?
I think
not enough for that.
Yeah, well, I think what it needs is a wisdom saving throw. I think if you made this more like Sanctuary, where the creature has to make a save, and then if they fail, they automatically miss you with the attack and cannot attack again until the start of your next turn, right? Like that could work for a couple of key points. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like the concept. I'd just be worried about like a dragon being like, ha, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it just missed you, right? There's no counter thing the dragon can do. It can't use its legendary resistances. It can't, benefit from any of that stuff. And that's kind of like.
Well, I mean, they still get to have. I mean, they just have disadvantage on the attack. So you're saying like that effect of not being attacked again?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can still. Oh, I see. This is only against you. I thought it couldn't attack at
other creatures.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah, this is totally fine. I'm sorry, Frosty. Yeah. I misunderstood. I thought this would attack anyone else.
No. So anyway, I think this is actually, I think this is good.
Yeah, no, this is totally fine. Sorry,
very cool feature as well. Improve passive palms. Oh, and this answers that question. By 11th level, you've become skilled at protecting your allies as well as yourself from attacks. When you use your passive palms reaction, you may impose disadvantage on any attack made against any creature within 5 feet of you. If the attack misses, the attack creature may not target an ally within 5 feet of you until the beginning of their next turn.
I think that still works because you're only protecting one creature.
They can go after you. Yeah. It's basically like you can stop something attacking you and make them go after someone else, or you can stop someone attacking your ally and make it so they can only go after you.
I think that works fine.
Do you count as an ally within 5 feet of you, rules wise? That's just a test thing. I don't think it's intended to work that way, but
of course you do. Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Then that might be stepping into the territory of being a little too strong at that point.
I don't think you do, because you don't provide sneak attack bonus for yourself.
That's a fair point.
As a rogue.
Oh, that's a good point, Jerry. Good snipe there.
You are a friendly creature, but you are not an ally. I think.
At 17th level, Presence of Peace. Do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. At 17th level, your calm, peaceful presence bolsters you and your allies. You and each ally within 30 feet of you is immune to being frightened. Additionally, any creature who targets you or your allies with an attack, or within 30, who targets you or your allies within 30 feet of you, there's nothing but attacks. Okay. Must make a charisma saving throw or choose another ally for the attack. Okay. I thought you had left out the word attack there for intentionally targeting for spell casting too. Is this meant to only target like attacks, or because I'm not sure what you were going for? I mean, I kind of get it.
This is probably a little frustratingly powerful. What it would end up doing, I think, is just making it so every attack has
Every attack is a chain.
Every attack has to have just a big pile of charisma saving throws, and it becomes like almost this weird like random number like which person will they succeed on, because it doesn't stop them from attacking, so it doesn't reduce the action economy. And it would be obviously too good if it did. So it would just be like you're standing next to all the enemies and you punch and like, nope, not this one, not this one. Oh, this attack hits the third person. Like it would end up getting a little funky. I don't think you could make this AoE sanctuary.
Yeah, well, I think, Frosty, the issue there isn't necessarily the concept. If that was the only feature they had that did that kind of thing, I think it would work. But your passive palms, which are 2 of the 4 features your class really gets, right, are all about preventing the attacks. I think this class needs something different at higher levels. Or at least somewhere in there, as like, this is something else you can do that isn't just, I prevent my enemies from attacking. I think it needs something to spice it up a little bit and have a little bit more diverse gameplay. I really like the direction you went with the passive bombs, but you know what I'm saying, Pete?
I agree. I think it needs something new too. I was on the 100% the same page. Frosty
saying I was out of time. I know the feeling, my dude.
I certainly, Lord knows I certainly do too. Anyway, I like the, I like, no, I don't know if Presence of Peace would work for me, personally. I can't see it being adjusted in any way to go.
Yeah, I think it's just...
I like the frightened aspect of it. I think that's fine.
If you wanted to do like a group sanctuary kind of deal, I think you could do that. You could say, allies within 30 feet of you who have not, attacked or had a harmful spell, attacked, damaged a creature or targeted them with a harmful spell within the last round are under the effects of Sanctuary, right? That could be a cool feature. That actually could work.
I need to step away for just 1 second. I'll be right back, okay?
Oh man, I gotta step away too.
Oh no.
That's fine. Pete, you step away, and then when you come back, I'll step away from you.
All right, just 1 second.
But I think that's maybe, if you wanted this direction, that's the direction I would go, right? It'd be like, as long as your allies aren't doing bad things to people, they're under the effects of Sanctuary spell. And I think that works a lot. I think that actually has some really dramatic RP moments, right? With the wizard concentrating on their banishment, and they're just standing there, not attacking, not doing anything, protected by your Presence of Peace. I think that could be really cool, actually as a dramatic moment in a game. But yeah, I think it definitely needs... Yeah, that was the idea. Okay. It definitely needs a drawback. And I think the drawback is, like in the Sanctuary spell, you can't attack or do bad stuff. And I think that's a definitely better direction to go for sure. I still think it'd be nice if there was a little bit more going down in the class, but I like it. I definitely like it. Who made the best concept in an hour? Vbunny, it's not what it's about. It's about everyone doing their best, putting together some great content. I really think there were some awesome ideas in everyone's stuff that they made. I think mine was the best because I made it. And I think all of you probably think yours is the best because you made it. And that's how you should feel when you make something awesome. Because that's what we made today. We made a bunch of awesome stuff in an hour. All the concepts are really rough. Absolutely. But that's how it's going to be. You did it in an hour.
Yeah, you can only do as much as you can only do about as much as we did in an hour. And again, I'm surprised at how good these are coming out. So much better than I think that they're going to be. And I don't know, it's teaching me a lot about design to see how much you can get done so quickly if you just decide that you're going to get it done, and you end up accidentally doing some good design just because you're just trying to put something down on the page. I've seen a lot of pretty inspired stuff that people have been new ways of thinking about mechanics and stuff like that people have come up with. So
I really like After's comment here. Pete and Jeremy, will you put these up in the rough draft somewhere? I think that would be really cool to make like a page on the website where we could have our, experiment 1. Here's the stuff that Pete and I created, and here's the stuff you guys created, and just have it all up there just for
A little
kind of
compendium?
posterity's sake.
Yeah, I think
That would be
really
pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't
we
know
could
if I
probably
could do that, but we'll see.
Um,
Pete, I've jumped over to our next segment, Unearthed Arcana. I'm going to let you start that off, and I'll be right back.